Okay. So Maya, Simon, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Could you please talk on the mic? Sure. Yeah. So first, congratulations, spectacular music.
Thank you so much.
So this is your first time in Brazil, right?
Yes.
What are you thinking so far? Enjoying it?
Wow, unfortunately, right before coming, I was in New York City, and it's very cold there. So I caught a bit of a cold. So even though we've been here a day and a half, I've just spent the whole day in bed. So I'm hoping that for the rest of the trip, I'll get to explore things.
Yeah, I hope so.
But my first impression is good.
First impression of the bed is
exactly.
Good.
Very comfortable beds.
Okay. And do you enjoy Brazilian music? Do you know anything?
I grew up listening to a lot of Latin American music. I think my first real experience with Brazilian music was doing capoeira. Like when I was like, let's see, what was I, 17 or something, I decided I wanted to do capoeira. So of course I was like singing the songs and playing the instruments and stuff like that. But
and did you keep on doing capoeira? Or
not for very long. Most things, I don't know. When I was that age, I did something for 6 months and stopped and did something else for 6 months. But I really liked it.
You released an EP called Poison, 5 Rancid songs that I love.
Yeah.
Right? And as far as I'm concerned, the band name you used were Your Kid Sister because you were like a sister of Tim Armstrong, right?
Yeah, and that was the idea. It was sort of like, basically I wanted to do this cover project because I wasn't ready to write my own songs. And so I decided to cover these Rancid songs because I really liked Rancid. Even though I wasn't really punk rock anymore, I really liked Rancid. And so Your Kid Sister was this sort of persona that was supposed to be, either the kid sister of Rancid or some punk's kid sister who finds the Rancid records and then starts playing them, but just in a totally, non-punk way. And so that's kind of how I got into playing accordion, actually. It was like, I wanted to find the instrument that was least like the electric guitar. And so I was like, accordion, that would work. And that's how that style evolved.
Yeah. Did you get to meet Tim Armstrong?
I did this year. It was super exciting. Because, of course, when I was, 15, 16, 17, I was very punk rock. And I, listened to all their records. And he was kind of like my teen heartthrob. I wasn't into all the sort of Leonardo DiCaprio types. I was like, yeah, Tim Armstrong. So when I was doing the Your Kid Sister project, he actually saw the video I did for Poison and contacted me. And so we, for like 2 years, would talk on the phone or email each other. Or, he suggested I do for my full-length album When It's Quite All Right, which ended up on the album. And then finally, and we never really managed to see each other, and finally he came to Barcelona for a show, and that's where I live. So I got to meet him and the band, and it was very exciting. I was a little bit starstruck at the beginning, but it was cool.
I see. You have a history with the punk rock, right? Even Greg Graffin from Brasileira had produced an EP that you did with your old band, right?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Anything to come from this type of music? I don't know.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
I mean, these guys, Greg Graffin and Tim Armstrong. Do you think you're going to work with them?
Well, me and Tim have been talking about doing something together for a long time, and it's always just not really, he's extremely busy, I'm extremely busy, but I really would hope to work with Tim, and maybe more instead of him producing something I do or something playing together, actually maybe like write songs together, because that's actually something else he does is writes, collaborates with people to write songs, because even, Rancid songs, they're very punk rock, but they're very, very catchy. They're like really great pop songs if you ignore all the distortion and all that. So yeah, I think, maybe for the next record I'll do that.
Nice. And how did that develop? I don't know if I can call like that evolution, but that process from hardcore music to this more light music, more soft music that you do today, how did that happen?
Well, I think that my whole music history is kind of a series of like 180s, of a series of rebellions, kind of. Because I started doing music originally playing classical violin. And I started when I was 7, and by the time I was like 12, 13, I didn't want to play anymore. But my parents forced me to continue to play. And so sort of in revenge, I started a punk group. on the side. I was still doing violin and whatever, and I would have, you know, my orchestra performances, and I was the only one with bright blue hair. But I started playing punk music like that, and then after 3-4 years of that, I just sort of didn't want to be in the punk scene anymore. You know, I knew there were good people and everything, but it felt like I wasn't actually as hardcore as I said I was. So I took like 3 years off of music, and I just did visual arts. And I was just like, my music, I'm never doing it again. And I really thought that I wasn't going to come back to music either. And then after, you know, 3 years of doing art, I kind of got this idea to do this sort of not quite playing my own songs, you know, doing these cover songs. And so it was kind of like a natural process. You know, when I stopped doing music, I didn't think I'd come back to it. But, you know, with enough time, it kind of came out again.
But anything in particular had brought you to music again? I don't know. Was only a need of expression? Like that?
Well, no, it was totally stupid. It was I was singing along to Poison, the Rancid song, with a friend of mine, and we were cooking or whatever, and I was singing along to the song in this really sort of sweet, my little sweet voice, and we were, you know, he was just sort of laughing because I was used to it, but it's true that if you listen to that song, you don't necessarily hear the harmonies, and I'm like singing all the harmonies and whatever, and so he said, oh my God, that's so funny. Wouldn't it be funny to like record the cute version of these songs? And so it really started out as almost like more of a performance art conceptual project. It wasn't about coming back to music. And then, you know, I made a video because I was learning how to do animation. And then people started sharing the video like crazy, being like, oh, this is so great, nah, nah, nah. And then my video was played in a film festival. And they said, well, why don't you come perform? And I was like, oh, I can't perform. I was living in Barcelona. I didn't have any instruments with me. And then I decided that was going to be fun. And that's actually how I got back into performing, is I went to this film festival and played the Rancid songs.
Like music, it happens naturally.
Totally. And I know this to be true.